All right, what is up, everybody? This is going to be a very, very important video for you if you run a marketing agency or you run any sort of B2B business. We're going to break down in this video how we got over 100 appointments, 100 demos in a single month, not even a single month, less than 28 days, how we did it. I'm going to break down exactly what we did as well as what you need to do. And the foundational things, when I look back and I saw that we booked over 100 plus meetings, looking back and really just looking at every little piece that made that work. All right, so without further ado, let's get into it. So yeah, how to book 100 plus meetings in 30 days for your agency or coaching business. Even if you're in a saturated niche, we were in the chiropractic space. And if you guys know anything about chiropractic, everyone's going after that niche, and it's a very sought after niche. So let's start with how we know this is possible. Again, the proof is in the pudding. We can't make up numbers. So here's a screenshot of the numbers that we had in a single month. And you can see that we booked actually 99 demo calls, 21 value calls. You can see as like intro calls. So really a total of like 120 calls, all on Zoom. These are all Zoom calls that we had. And so we had over 100 plus appointments in the month of February. You can see right here for 2022. You can just see the amount of conversations that we're having, the amount of conversations that we're having with every single prospect. You can just see it's all volume, right? And so, like any business, we started with our own problems and pains first, right? So we had an agency that started in 2020, and it was just a basic lead generation agency. And I always knew that we were going to grow and we were going to scale, but the problem that I had to solve was that I needed a way to get more appointments on the calendar. There's this thing where it's like if you don't get enough appointments on your calendar, you also start to lose motivation, right? Like waking up every Monday, waking up every week, with a very white space calendar, that can be very dismotivating and can oftentimes lead to people quitting the agency or just not being able to grow. And you might be experiencing this where you just see the same numbers, you see the same revenue, and that can be very dismotivating, disheartening. And so a big part of that, it comes down to booking more appointments for your agency, for your salespeople, for yourself, so that you can have the momentum and the benefits of being able to have appointments on your calendar every single week going into the new week. So you're not trying to tag behind and not trying to make up, on the last week of the month, trying to make up sales because you didn't focus on this in the very beginning. All right, so you want to just knock this problem out of the park. And the best way to do that, in my opinion, is going to be outbound prospecting. All right, so a lot of the gurus, they told me the answer was in paid ads, but I just didn't have money to invest, right? And so it'd be great to put in 1,000 in Facebook ads to get 5,000 back in return. But the math and the cost kept rising when I tried it, and it didn't make too much sense moving forward. And so I told myself there has to be a better way to do this. And so I went back and forth. I went on a track record. At this point, we made over 130,000 outbound dials. And so we knew this process left and right. We knew how to build an outbound team. And we knew that this was also cost effective for us to do. And so this is the path that we decided to commit to. And right now, if you were to look at your niche, there's over 50,000 leads in your industry, right? Whether you work with contractors, whether you work with chiropractors, dental, gyms, there's there's more than 50,000, 100,000 leads with phone numbers and emails waiting to be contacted. They have their Facebook profiles, they have their Instagram profiles. I mean, this is not easy stuff. This is not hard to get. This is very easy stuff to get, and yet most people don't even start here. They don't even start with thinking of how do I compile a whole list, a master list of all the contacts that fit my service. All right, service market fit. How can you just get a whole list? That's the very first starting point. Going to this new business, we realize that the first thing we need to do is just get a master list of all the Facebook profiles of agency owners, of coaches, of people that we could help. That way we can have a clear roadmap of how we're going to attack that list. So that's the very first thing, is that we just scraped all the contacts, all the chiropractors in the United States, everyone that was qualified to buy our services, and we got them into one portal, right? Um, and once we got this list and we did Facebook outreach, or we did cold calls, and we did emails, and we saw that turn into a client. And you could ask this for yourself, like any method that you get clients, you want to look at what happened there. because more likely than not, it's scalable, and more likely than not, you can repeat that process. And so when I look back at our track record in that, I know, we're trying to look at how we could scale past 30, 40, 50K a month. And I look back at what worked. I look back at what got clients. And I just repeated that process and I added more volume to that. And so by diving deeper, I realized that for us to scale, we just need to repeat the process over and over again. And so what we did is we've always had success with appointment setters. So what we decided to do is bring on 5 appointment setters because we knew our numbers and we knew that we were able to see success with cold calling, warm calling, set appointments, and then be able to close appointments. And so what we needed was not how to figure out marketing, fulfillment, anything of that nature. It was just, okay, how do we get more volume in the area of dials? And so we started making soon enough 500 plus dials Monday through Friday. And with the right offer, the right numbers, the right volume, and the right appointment setters, there should be no way that you don't book 100 plus appointments a month. Okay, so let me say that again. With the right offer, the right numbers, knowing your numbers, knowing it to a T, with the right volume, the right amount of volume being sent out, outbound, and the right appointment setters that are just prospecting 24/7 for you, there's no way you can't book 100 plus meetings. I can tell you right now, if you're not booking 100 plus meetings all outbound, then you're doing something wrong. One of these things are wrong. Either you don't have the right offer, you don't track the numbers, you don't have the right volume, and you don't have a growth team. A growth team are appointment setters, or VAs are sending messages. So again, those are the things. So number one, let's break down know your numbers. So this is really the foundation of scaling the business. Okay, so this is really the foundation for everything that you do. And because you need to know what channel brings the best return, right? If you don't know what channel is bringing the best return, how are you supposed to scale up that appointment source, right? You're gonna end up working on the wrong channels. You're gonna end up working on the wrong things that aren't producing the actual result. And so when we look back at our results, we realized that cold emails and calling was making up 80% of our new client volume. And so, let's say that we closed 3 new clients off of cold email and calling, then we knew that we needed to times that by 3, 4, 5 for us to get 12 clients. And therefore, we closed 12 clients because we knew what channel, we tracked the numbers, we knew exactly to the percent. If I send 1,000 emails, I'll expect 3 people to respond, 0.03%. And then from there, we'll be able to book 2 calls out of the 3. And then from there, we'll be able to have, 5 people show up a week. And then we'll be able to close 1 out of 5. Right? And that was just for emails. So knowing those numbers, we were able to scale the right volume and know what channel was bringing the best return. Again, for us, it was outbound emails, outbound calls, DMs, and reactivation emails. So again, 1,000 emails. Every 1,000 emails, we knew that we were going to book 2 meetings. And so the question is, if you want to book 100 appointments in a month, just break that down. That comes to 25 appointments per week, right? And if you know exactly your percent of emails to 2 meetings, and you want 25 meetings from just cold email, you would send, what is that? You'd send 12,000 emails that week, right? And you get 24 appointments. So the math is simple, right? We try to make things complicated, but just stick to the numbers. Stick to the numbers. If you want to scale your meetings, look at how many emails you're doing, right? If you're only sending out 500, 400, even 200 emails a day, then that's your problem. It's just volume. It's just volume, guys. With outbound prospecting, it's all volume. Okay, and so same thing with calls, right? If we knew that every 1,000 calls we were able to book 10 meetings, every outbound $1,000 that we got 10 meetings at the end of it. What do you have to do? All right, if you just want 100 meetings in a month, guess what? You got to make $10,000 in a month. And so make sure that you hire the right people, make sure that you have the right volume. Team members, don't expect somebody to do $300 a day, Monday through Friday, right? Hire the team that's required for you to be able to hit your appointment goals, right? I talk to a lot of people and they either don't want to send out enough emails because they're just lazy and they expect more meetings, which doesn't make sense, or they expect more meetings from their appointment setters They're not willing to hire the amount of appointment setters that's required, the amount of volume that's required to set appointments. So everything comes down to numbers. We've only gotten to this point with our agency because we track numbers to a T, because I'm so relentless in tracking percentages and tracking return on investment and just finding the right channels. And I'm so relentless in getting that volume up that's how we were able to close 12 clients in February and also book 100 plus meetings. Okay, so same thing with DMs. All right, so you get it. Input equals output. Increase the number of inputs that you put in, and the output will come out inevitably. It will come out. And the only thing that's holding you back from scaling your agency will be appointments. And so the only thing holding you back from getting more appointments is a solid infrastructure, which I just broke down there, which is the system. That could be cold email, that could be appointment setting system, it could be whatever system that you use to get more appointments, and then having more people be a part of that system. All right, we just started a new business and we started out with one appointment setter. This week I want to hire 2 more. The following week I want to hire 2 more. And I want to build a team of at least 6 appointment setters. So I have the people in place to be able to get the infrastructure required to be able to scale a business, because it all comes down to appointments. And then putting them through our system, how to book appointments, right? A great system, procedure, channel, a way to do things that's already laid out ahead of them. We give them the path. All they have to do is take the path, walk down the path, and stay on the course. And they'll make their money as an appointment setter, and we'll make our money as a company. So if you get down your numbers and you crank down an organic channel that you can scale, it's only a matter of getting the right people on board and having them carry out the daily tasks. It really is, right? And the people that carry out these tasks, they don't have to be anybody that's like highly, a great salesperson. They just need to be trained, right? You can find them for $3 an hour in South America or the Philippines, and you just pay them per call that they either book, that you take, or per call that they book and that you close. Okay, so I'm here to break the truth. If you're not willing to increase the number of outreach that you're doing, putting in on a daily basis, you will always be stuck at your level. That means either spending more money on paid ads to make it uncomfortable, doing something, right? Putting in more input to get more output. If you're not doing that, you will always stay at the same level. That's a fact. Okay, so every week, if you want to ask yourself, why am I not growing? Why am I not growing? Just look at the numbers. Look at the input that you put in. If that number didn't increase, we are insane for thinking that we can get a different output, a different result. And so that's why you're staying stagnant. So whatever you do on a daily basis, the question you should be asking yourself is, how can I just do more input? More input. How can I get more input? Make it as effective as possible, but just do more volume, spend more money, do more outbound, hire more people, do more outbound. Right? You can only send out so many messages. You can only send out so many calls yourself. But if you have a team, you have the right system, procedure, infrastructure in place to be able to do that, now you can scale yourself and you can duplicate yourself into 10 people. That's how you scale a company, right? From our experience with scaling the agency. All right, second thing is the offer. Before I do that, I'm gonna drink some water real quick. Okay, so moving on to offer. This is the most important thing. And there's a reason why so many people are talking about getting the offer right, and why Herbosi came out with the book on just offers. Because if you don't have something that's enticing, if you don't have something that's different, if you don't have something that's going to really solve somebody's problem and be the perfect solution for their problem, that it's going to be hard to book meetings. It's going to be hard for people to show up to meetings. It's going to be hard to close people when they get on the meeting. And so it just affects every area of your business. And so when you're looking at marketing and sales and how you can book more appointments, close more sales, you want to start with the offer. What's an offer that I can make that's so stupid that people would feel stupid not saying yes to, right? And again, these are all the different things that affect. It affects your messaging, it affects your response rate, it affects your appointment conversion, it affects your appointment show-up rate, it affects your closing rate, it affects every little thing, right? And if your offer right now, if you're an agency and your offer right now is Facebook ads plus CRM, you might want to think twice. Prospects are literally yawning and you're pulling teeth every time you hop on an appointment call and a prospect, you're talking to a prospect and give them the same offer that they see 20, 30 times that they've worked with 4 or 5 different companies that have provided the same thing. They haven't seen results. What makes you think that they're going to make a decision with you, right? Your prospects are literally begging for you to come up with something unique and different so that you can sell it to them and they can buy it. Okay, I would say the best thing you could do, in my opinion, is just buy this book. It's only $1 on Amazon, and just go through this. There's an exercise that I did. Oops. There's an exercise I did. If you guys want to click this document, uh, I just broke down everything about our offer. Shout out to Ron for helping me with this. All right, every little thing about your offer. So it's a 7-page document. If you guys want to access that, let me know. But yeah, just read this book, go through the uh, the exercise, and it'll make a lot of sense. Okay, so the things you have to understand is in the offer is like, what's the biggest desire of your market? Like, what is the actual place that you want to go with their practice, with their gym, with their dental practice? Like, what's the promised land that you're going to take them to? And then what is their perceived outcome, right? So, what's the chances of them knowing that they'll get to what you're promising, right? So if you're promising 5 implant cases that month, that's maybe that's one big promise, but also what is the likelihood, the perceived likelihood of them achieving this? And I had a client call the other day, and we were reviewing their sales calls, and I asked them like, if a prospect knew with 100% certainty that if you sold them that offer, that they would accomplish what you were telling them, wouldn't 100% of people buy? Like if it was 100% that you would achieve that outcome that makes sense to you, and you knew with absolute certainty that it would be solved and that you would achieve it, everyone would buy. And so making sure that you have the right dream outcome and you're working on perceived likelihood of achievement, which could be your own case studies, it could be your guarantee, it could be your testimonials or case studies, your expertise, right? That's all the things that are going to help this value equation at the very top here. But the bottom line is the most important, right? So no matter what you're selling, if you go to a prospect and it requires a lot of work, it takes a lot of sacrifice, and it takes a longer extended period of time, then it's not going to be as attractive, right? So, for example, if you're just doing the typical Facebook ad and CRM service, and they have to call the leads, have to do all the follow up, and get them in the door, and it takes a lot of time for them, versus the same company that does the same thing, but they do reactivations. They have people that are going to call the leads for them. They're actually better at calling the leads than they are, and they just need to sit back and watch people come in. This is a way more enticing offer, which is why you see a lot of agencies offering this now. All right, and so maybe you could do the same. Um, so instead of just a month-to-month service, how could you promise a specific result on the deadline? Right. So when we ran this offer, we ran a free trial offer, and when they would come on, we'd give them a very stupid offer. We'd say, hey, listen, we'll cover your advertising cost, we'll waive our service fee, and all we want you to do is cover the setup fee, and we'll guarantee X amount of patients in the door in less than 30 days. Right. And it was an offer that was so stupid and so different because we were just telling them that we're going to waive the service fee, we'll cover their advertising cost, and they just pay one big setup fee for that month, and we guarantee these results. That was how we got volume in the front end, and we're able to close people. Okay. So my favorite topic, which is appointment centers, because I truly think the only way that we scaled to 100 plus appointments in a single month and really 25 days was appointment centers. And when I understood this concept, it was a game changer. It was literally game over because you have to understand, for you to book more appointments, it, yes, you could do it from paid ads. Right? We already talked about that, but it's very it's not as cost friendly, and you can if you don't know what you're doing, you can waste a lot of money, right? So having an appointment setter, if you have the process down, it's not like things just stop working, you know, out of the blue, right? Once you have the process down, you have it down. Nothing changes. And so from there, it's a lot more sustainable. And from there, it's just finding the right people, training the right people, and then getting them ramped up. And since this process even already works, it's not anything it's like evergreen. It's like calling people, setting appointments will always work, right? Once you have the dialogue down, once you have the mindset down, once you understand the framework, this will always work, right? And so, this is the bread and butter. So we grew a growth team to about 6 appointment setters, and their sole purpose was to book more appointments for our agency. And they were incentivized for the growth of our company. And our purpose, our mission aligns with their mission, right? And so we've been able to source appointment setters from all across the world to book appointments for us at only $3 an hour. That's what we paid them as a base. And then we would pay them per call that we take that was set by them. Or another way that you could do it is just pay them per close. But what we found is that you want to make sure that they can control all the variables. And so if you're paying per close, it's not in their variable if they close or not, right? That's up to your closer, and that's not really too fair for them. And so you want to make sure you keep that in mind. What are the variables that they can only control that you can compensate and give bonuses around? Now, with the right appointment setter, they should be booking about 2 to 3 meetings a day on a consistent basis. And if you give them a strict SOP on what to do when they clock in, what to do in the middle of the day, what to do at the end of the day, they'll be able to execute. All right. And so I'll walk you through how we did this. Okay, first things first is we found an organic channel that works for us. That was for cold email. And the goal is to, again, not spend so much money in advertising. Email is the most effective for us as well as a lot of other agencies out there. We use software to automate the process, right? So instead of us hiring 10 people to send out 1,000 emails a day, we just found a software that's allowed us to really send as many emails as possible, fully automated with a click of a button. And then we just have our appointment setters manage it in terms of daily sending. Facebook was also super effective. Tapping into Facebook groups, being able to start conversations, DMing people, super effective. And at the end of the day, you want to just find out what works for you. If you have questions on like what channel to go with, email is definitely a good place to start. And it's one of the most well versed. I think it works with almost every industry out there. It's the most scalable in my opinion, and just worked very well with us. From there, if you pair that with leads, so you get leads from cold emails, and you pair that with appointment setters who are calling on your behalf, that's where all the money starts coming in, right? When you can start getting leads and you compare it with people on the phone who are hungry to book appointments, who are incentivized for growth, that's when you'll start to see 100 plus appointments per month. That's how we saw it. Um, yeah, and I just went through for example, I went through every client that we closed in the past year in our agency, and every one of them went through an enormous amount of follow-ups, just relentless follow-ups for our appointment setters. And some deals took like 8 months of us calling nonstop. The doctor hopping on demo, saying they're interested, and then not signing on, and then our appointment setters like uh, following up, and then like 6 months later, the deal will actually close. And that won't happen for your agency if you don't have people that are constantly calling, prospecting, reactivating leads, giving out offers. You need to build a team that's able to do that, an outbound team that's doing that constantly. All right, so again, you want to have a really good offer so that your appointment setters, when they're on the phone, they can easily get the prospect to say yes to a meeting. That's very key. Okay, we grew an outbound team to 6 appointment setters again. We paid them a very small base and then paid a commission for every call that we set and we took. It's a very lean structure that does not that does require time and energy to properly manage. But once you have it up and running, you'll just have a machine that's spitting out appointments. As a small business owner, especially with an agency going out to other local business owners, the phone is your friend. You want to just the phone's the easiest way to have more conversations and talk to your prospects. And so don't overthink this. Just pick up the phone. If you can't afford an appointment setter right now, which I think everyone should be able to afford an appointment setter, then just do the calls yourself. Make $50 to $100. That's what I did for 2.5 years in our agency, and it's just the ugly, hard truth that no one wants to hear. It's like, oh, Caleb, that's not effective. Well, it's not. But what am I going to do? I'm not going to complain about not having appointments on my calendar. I'm going to pick up the phone and I'm going to do the actions that are going to get me appointments that are going to allow me to scale the agency, then just sit around and just say it's not good use of my time. but not making any money for our agency. It's simple. Um, and obviously the goal is to get people to do it for you. But you can't teach people something that you haven't done yourself, right? And you want to lead by example. But if you've done it for 2.5 years, people get it and they're like, okay, well, this guy has proved it, he has showed it, and I can do it as well. Okay, so cold call, warm call, hot call, it doesn't matter, dude. Just keep banging the phone. Don't be afraid to be rejected. Pick up the phone, dial, set appointments. I tell you guys, if you do this alone, you'll be able to scale your agency and get an outbound team going and get appointments organically. All right. And again, if you don't want to do it yourself, fine. Just find somebody that can do it for you, but you need to build a team that's able to do these actions. All right. And that's a wrap. That's how we booked 100 plus meetings in 30 days. And to leave it off here, I want you to do a quick exercise. I want you to pull up all of your numbers in the past 30 days for sales, right? And if you're not tracking the numbers, start there. Again, that's pillar number one. You need to know what is getting you the return, and you can't improve anything without measuring where you're at now. So I want you to write down how many calls did you make in the past 30 days? How many leads did you generate in 30 days? Right? Write out these questions and then answer them for yourself. How many outreach messages did you send in 30 days? How many prospects did you have the chance to talk to in the past 30 days? How many meetings did you book in the past 30 days? How many meetings did you take in the past 30 days? How many clients did you close in the past 30 days? And get that baseline. That's your baseline. That's where you're starting off right now. The goal is to 10x everything. 10x everything and start from input, right? And so if I asked you, how many calls you make in 30 days, and that was like 500 calls in the past 30 days, and you only closed one client, well, guess what? If you want to get 10 clients, you have to make 5,000 calls. Not 500, 5,000, because input equals output. And so once you have the baseline for where you're at, just 10x everything, 10x the amount of input, I promise you the output will be 10x. Right? And then ask yourself, what kind of infrastructure do I need to be able to do that? Right? What kind of infrastructure? Do I have to figure out cold email? Do I have to figure out how to really do cold outbound, Facebook outreach, appointment setting, cold call? Get the system down, get the procedures right, duplicate it, get a client, get an appointment, then scale it with people. All right, everything that you need to know to book more appointments, I covered in this video. Okay. The answers are very simple. The tactics, you don't need the tactics. The only thing that matters is that you just do it. You do more, right? You 10x everything you're doing. That's how we booked 100 plus meetings. If I had to wrap up this call, the only thing that helped us get 100 plus meetings is we just did more work, put in more volume. That's it. It's not the tactics. You guys already know how to do cold email. You guys already know how to do appointment setting. Just not doing it. You're not doing it at a high enough scale that makes sense. Make it unreasonable for you guys not to succeed, and you will succeed. All right. Happy Monday, guys. Have a great day. Bye.